Welcome, grade 10 drama learners of Ferredom Secondary. Today I'm going to be showing you a visual of the play Antigone. This starts on page 9 of your resource pack 1. So what I'm going to be showing you is a recording or a live production of Antigone. Now this is done a long time ago, but I will pause in between and explain a few of the things from the play. Okay, here we go.
Listen, the same blood flows in both our veins, doesn't it, my sister? The blood of Oedipus. And suffering, which was his destiny, is our punishment too, the sentence passed on all his children.
Okay, so if you just pay attention for a few seconds, this is Antigone and this is Ismene. What you need to focus on is the differences in the personalities between the two sisters, because that is a common question.
Physical pain, contempt, insults, every kind of dishonor. We've seen them all and endured them all, the two of us. But there's more to come. Now, today, this new proclamation which the king has made to the whole city. Have you heard how those nearest to us are to be treated? With the contempt that we reserve for traitors, people we love.
Nobody has told me anything, Antigone. I've heard nothing, neither good nor bad, about anyone we love. Not since the battle, I mean. The terrible news that both our brothers were dead. One day, one battle, and fratricide twice over.
Okay, in the previous lesson I had explained that the two brothers have killed each other in battle, Eteocles and Polynices, and the king Creon has declared that both of them, well, one of them had fought against the city, that's Polynices, and Eteocles has been given a proper burial, whereas the brother Polynices, his body lies on the battlefield, and the proper rituals have not been followed or adhered to. So therefore Antigone feels that she has to take it upon herself to now do the rituals for her brother.
Brother cutting down his own flesh. But the army from Argos retreated last night. I have heard that. Nothing else to cheer me up or depress me further.
I thought you hadn't. That's why I asked you to meet me here, where I can tell you everything without any risk of being overheard.
What is it then? More terrible news. Something black and frightening, I can see that.
Well, what do you think, Ismene? Perhaps you can guess. We have two brothers, both of them dead. And Creon has decreed that a decent burial shall be given to one, but not to the other.
Okay, so the brother that has been given the proper burial is Eteocles, whilst Polynices is the one whose body is still lying on the battlefield. It's nicely explained in this dialogue.
Eteocles apparently has already been buried with full military honours, not far short of a state funeral, with all the formalities due to the dead meticulously observed, so that his rest in the underworld amongst the heroes is assured. But Polynices, who died in agony just as certainly as his brother did, is not to be buried at all. The decree makes that quite plain. He is to be left, lying where he fell, with no tears or ceremonies of mourning, to stink in the open, till the kites and vultures catch the scent and tear him to pieces and pick him to the bone. Left unburied, there is no rest for him in the underworld, no more than here. What a great king our Creon is, eh, sister? It's against...
Okay, so Creon is the king at the moment, and he's declared that the brother will not be buried because he fought against the city. And the brother's name, once again, is Polynices. Now, Creon is also their uncle, and I've explained that in our previous voice notes about the relationship between the parents of Antigone and Ismene, and how her father Oedipus had actually married his biological mother without his knowledge.
Us, you realize, and against me in particular, that he has published this decree. And he'll soon be here himself to make it public to the senators and anyone who may not have heard it. He isn't bluffing. He means to act to make it stick. The punishment for anyone who disobeys the order is public stoning to death.
So the king Creon has declared that anyone that dares to bury the brother, Polynices, will be stoned to death. And we must also bear in mind that this is a very male-dominated society. We call that a patriarchy. Let's listen to the words of Antigone.
So that's the news. And you know it now. The time has come for you two to stand up and be counted with me, to show whether you are worthy of the honor of being Oedipus' daughter.
Wait a minute, Antigone. Don't be so headstrong. If all this is as you say it is, what can I do, one way or the other?
Just say you'll help me. Commit yourself.
To do what? Something dangerous?
Just to give me a hand to lift the body. It's too heavy for me to move on my own.
To bury him, you mean, in spite of the decree?
He's my brother. And whatever you say, he's yours too. I won't betray him now that he's dead. No one will ever throw that in my face.
You can't do it. Creon has publicly forbidden it.
He cannot forbid me to love my brother. He has neither the right nor the power to do that.
Have you forgotten what happened to our father? Contempt and loathing from everyone, even from himself, that was his reward. And blinded, too, by his own hand. And his mother-wife, as ill-matched with him as those two words are with each other, she knotted a rope and hanged herself. And now our two brothers, both in one day, caught in the same trap.
Okay, so what is Antigone and Ismene arguing about? So Antigone wants the help of Ismene to lift the brother's body, which is Polynices. The reason that she needs the help is because his body obviously is heavy. A person that is dead has very heavy weight. Also, you would notice how Ismene is wanting to escape from her commitment to her brother or her honor to her brother, whereas Antigone is fighting to actually honor the brother and give him a dignified burial, no matter how or in whatever manner she decides to do so. But you can pay attention to Ismene's gestures and her facial expression and how she really does not want to help her sister because she cares more about her reputation rather than to do what is right. Whereas Antigone does not worry about the decree that's given by the king, and she believes that she should honor her brother in whichever and however she can do best.
Blood for blood and death for death, each one at the expense of the other. We are the last ones left, sister. And what a death is promised for us, more terrible than any if we break the law by defying the king and the power of the state. Think for a moment, Antigone, please. We're women, that's all. Physically weaker and barred from any political influence. How can we fight against the institutionalized strength of the male sex? They are in power and we have to obey them, or worse tyrannies than these.
Okay, so Ismene believes that females are the weaker gender, as by her words spoken right now, whereas Antigone still wants to continue with honoring her brother.
May be inflicted upon us. May God forgive me and the spirits of the dead. We have no choice. State power commands, and we must do as we are told. When you are powerless, wild gestures and heroic refusals are reserved for madmen.
Don't say any more. I won't ask again. In fact, if you were to offer help now, I would refuse it. Do as you please. I intend to bury my brother. And if I die in the attempt, I shall die in the knowledge that I have acted justly, and that will be a kind of happiness. I shall lie peacefully beside my brother, whom I loved in my actions as well as in words.
So here we see that Antigone is willing to die in order to do what is right. And she is willing to accept all of the consequences that are given to her thereafter.
Our lives are short. We have too little time to waste it on men and the laws they make. The approval of the dead is everlasting. And I shall bask in it as I lie among them. Do as you please. Live, by all means. The laws you will break are not of man's making.
I reverence them. How can I defy the unlimited power of the state? What weapons of mine are strong enough for that?
Fine. That's a good excuse. I'll go and shovel the earth on my brother's body.
I'm frightened, Antigone. I'm frightened for you.
Don't be frightened for me. Fear for yourself.
For God's sake, keep it quiet. Don't tell anyone. I'll keep our meeting secret.
Don't you dare. You must tell everyone. Shout it in the streets. If you keep it quiet, I shall begin to hate you.
There's a fire burning in you, Antigone, but it makes me go cold just to hear you.
Well, I'm not doing it to please you.
You won't do it at all. You're bound to fail.
I shall fail when I have failed and not before.
But you know it's hopeless. Why begin when you know there's no way you can succeed?
Be quiet! Before I begin to despise you for talking so feebly.
You can see here that Ismene is beginning to get concerned about her sister's well-being, as well as, and especially for her sister's life, because she knows that should anything go wrong, Antigone will be stoned to death, whether her uncle is the king or not.
He will despise you too. Unjustly. You can go now. Go! If I'm mad, you can leave me here with my madness, which will doubtless destroy me soon enough. Death is the worst thing that can happen. And some deaths are more honorable than others.
If you've made your mind up, Antigone, it's madness. Remember, I love you. Whatever happens.
So the scene ends and we see that Ismene has decided not to join her sister, and Antigone is going to continue as she pleases to honor her brother in that manner. Thank you.